Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a book review video. Now for this book review video, like I said in my previous book review video, was going to be kind of like a trilogy, even though it really isn't a trilogy. I kind of made it into a trilogy. And three of these books are biographies, and one of the books has three books inside of it. It's a 3-in-1 book. It's like a collection of books. So let's just get right into the trilogy one. So I got these books not around the same, well, I got two of them around the same time, and the one I had to wait a little bit for. This is The Queen. It's Queen Elizabeth II's a biography about her. It's called The Queen, Her Life by Andrew Morton. This is what it looks like. And Andrew Morton, he wrote a book about Princess Diana when she was still alive. There are some pictures in this book. Some of the chapters are long in this book, just so you know. But what I really like about biographies, too, is that usually when there's footnotes, the footnotes take up, like, probably half of the end of the chapter, or end of the book, I mean. So basically, it goes from her life. I think it starts with the first chapter is kind of like, I think it was when she was first a princess, like her dad was king, and then it goes into like when she was born and stuff, and then it goes up until I think right about before she died or a little bit after that, because there really wasn't anything in this book about like her funeral or anything like that. It was a really good book. Like when I always say this, but when I read biographies, I like when biographies flow, like they flow like a story, instead of all this like information just like piled into the book that like they want to like force down your throat, that type of thing. So this book was really good. I got this one at Target. This one I think I also got at Target. This one I got when I got the Queen book. It's King Charles, the life of the King, the life of Charles III. It's by Christopher Andersen. That's what it looks like. This one, I don't think this one. No, this one didn't have any pictures in it. Um, it's kind of a weird biography, just because of the fact that some of the stuff that they said in the Queen book, they mentioned in this book. So some of the events were kind of similar. I think it starts with, I think, or was that in the other book? Um, I think it kind of starts out, I think, with the princess, when Princess Diana dies, I think, and then it backtracks to when he was a boy, when he was first born, that type of thing. And it goes up to, um, I don't think, it doesn't go up to when the Queen dies. I don't think, like, it kind of does a little bit, but I don't think he was king yet or something like that in the book. This book was okay. Like I said, most of the events that they talked about in the Queen book, they talked about in this book. So some of it was just like similar stuff. There was no footnotes in this book. Some of the chapters were longer than others. It was just okay. Now the one thing I did do was I highlighted in the Queen book, so I knew I was gonna keep the Queen book. But the Charles III book, I highlighted in it, and I'm kind of like, I really, like, halfway through, I was kind of like, do I really want to keep this book? Do I not want to keep it? So it was kind of like getting, like, it was kind of too dry for me. Like, it did flow like a story, but not enough for me to be like, okay, I want to keep this book. So this was Prince Harry's book, and I wanted this book since I knew it was coming out. Like, I think it was like in October or something like that. I knew it was coming out like in next year. And you know when like you really are looking forward to something, like a movie or a book or a show, and when you finally get to watch that or read it or whatever, it's not up to your standards. Well, this book was kind of like that. Like, I just didn't really like it. It's called Spares by Prince Harry. There wasn't that many pictures in it. Like, the only pictures that were in it were when you got to a different part of the book. Now, there were parts in this book where I kind of felt like it kept repeating itself over and over again. And there was a part in the book where it took up like a couple parts that were like the it's one of those books where it's divided into parts, but then there's like little sub chapters throughout the whole book, that kind of thing. Um, and the thing I hated about it was there was one part in the book that um, I don't think I could say what it is. I mean, it was just like a menial thing. Like, it didn't affect the story, but it was just like, he kept bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up. And I was like, okay, like, I get it. I did not need to read 20 mini chapters about this one thing. It was just okay. It really wasn't that great of a book, to be honest. At least I didn't think it was that great. Um, like, it was just the same stuff he kept bringing up, bringing up, bringing up. And I'm like, okay, like, I get it. Like, this is what happens. This is what, like, don't like the paparazzi, that type of stuff. I get it. You don't have to keep bringing it up. You know what I mean? Like, there was more stuff he probably could have wrote in the book besides talking and talking and talking about the paparazzi. Basically, it's like, it was basically dissing the paparazzi in the media more than anything else in this book. Um, this book I read, um, it's separated into three books, but in each of the three books, when they were separated, is three stories. Plus, every third book has like an epilogue in it that's like a mini kind of story. These books, I like to watch game theory on YouTube, and these are the Five Nights at Freddy's books, the Fazbear Frights books. So these are separated into threes. I have this one and then 4 through 6. So this is the first three. It's Five Nights at Freddy's, Fazbear Frights 1 through 3. It's a collection. It's by Scott Cawthon, Ellie Cooper, Adrian Waggener, Carly Ann West. This is what it looks like. I'm not gonna really like. For me, when Matt Pat, that's who runs Game Theory, would talk about these books. I mean, I never played Five Nights at Freddy's. I watch other people play it. I like his theories about it, that type of thing. I'm not really like heavily into like the whole lore type of thing, that type of thing. But I think it's just interesting. Um, so these books are kind of okay. Some of them were better than others. Like, I mean, I like horror genre myself, but a lot of the stories didn't really have an ending to them. The one I liked was where there was a guy, I think this was in the third book, but the second story in the third book. And it was basically about this man. He, is a security guard at this weird factory place. He doesn't know anything about it. He just knows he's supposed to make sure nothing goes out of the factory through the exits. And these little creatures, every time he goes to sleep and wakes up, these little creatures are there. And he starts getting like, his arms and his legs start getting like puffy, and his throat feels like it's really sore. And here he finds out that these little creatures are inside of him, and that's how they're trying to get out, by like going into his mouth and body while he's sleeping, so they can go out into the real world. There was another one about a ball pit where this was the first story in the first book, where this kid goes to this abandoned, or not abandoned, it's like a pizzeria, and he goes into this ball pit, and it's a time-traveling ball pit to when Freddy Fazbear's was a popular thing, and he sees these horrible things happen. There was, I think it was the first story in the second book, about this doll that kept waking this woman up at 1:35 a.m., and she's trying to escape this alarm she keeps hearing, only she can hear it, from this doll. The other story was about this, I think this was in the first book. I forget what story it was. Maybe it was the third story in the first book, where it's this woman, it's this girl, this teenage girl who doesn't find herself pretty. She finds this robot doll thing, and this robot doll puts her to sleep at night with this spell that's supposed to make her pretty. And here, in the book, towards the end of the book, it turns out that the doll was using her body to replace her body. So the doll was becoming more human, and the girl was turning more into like a robot, like the doll was. They were okay stories. I mean, you can tell, there are some like Freddy Fazbear stuff in it. But to me, it's like, if I would have got these books individually, I would have been like, like I would have rather have waited. Like if I got this book and had like the individual copies of each of these books, I feel like, why did I waste my time? I could have just read them all together. Some stories are longer than others in this book. Like I think like the middle story is always kind of like the shortest one. But other than that, I mean, they were okay. I mean, I have 4 through 6, so it's like if I get a chance to read them and I like them better than the first ones, maybe I'll get the other ones when they come out in the collection set. But that was my book review video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time with another book review video.